Hand quilting. It's not something I do on a regular basis. When I was younger and it was time to quilt a quilt, I preferred doing it fast on the machine. But I find that as I get older, I'm really enjoying the slow process of hand quilting. Welcome. My name is Angela Davis and I'm the 4M quilter. And this past week and a half, I pulled out a project that I started a year ago, and I made it strictly to be a table mat. So I'm going to pan down and show it to you. And it's not a table runner, it's a square. So it's meant to sit in the middle of the table. And I've been working on it steadily for about a week and a half, doing hand stitches. Now these are not the small traditional hand stitches that you see on antique quilts. These are not what I call vintage quality hand stitches. These are what I call utilitarian stitches. Sometimes they're called big stitch quilting. In different cultures, they're called different things depending on the culture that you're in. So I call them utilitarian. You'll find many videos on big stitch quilting. I have a video on big stitch quilting myself, and I'll leave a link below for that. And I think what I'll do is I might put this video under that playlist for big stitch quilting. So let me pan down and show you what it looks like, and we'll get started. When I put this together, I just put it together as a fall little quilt. And this could be a wall hanging, or it could be set on a table. Now this one I'm going to set on a table. It has these beautiful bright print here for fall. The beautiful burnt oranges, what I call that fiery red, the bright yellows, and then I have them set in between a basic 9-patch block. There's 5 9-patch blocks and 4 of the snowball blocks. So the thing that I want to show you is that I want to point out is that as I worked on this, I used a needle that was already in my sewing roll. And this is a sewing roll that I've made. And I also have a video about my sewing roll. And unfortunately, when I put these sewing needles in my sewing roll, I did not label them. So this particular needle here it is. Can you see it? This particular needle here, I'm not sure what kind it is. However, I can tell you it's very strong. It has a very sharp point. And for that, it worked very well for using cotton thread, crochet thread, and this is for like making doilies, making hand crochet tablecloths, and so on and so forth. And this is by the J&P Clark Company, and this I probably got at a thrift store. And this actually right here had a wonderful twist to it. And the twist was tight enough where it held up every time I kept pulling it through for these longer stitches here. And so this held up very well for me. I really recommend, if you buy the crochet cotton, the twist on this is very good. But I wish I could tell you what kind of straight needle, what kind of sewing needle this is. All I can tell you is it was very strong, had a nice point to it. And I can tell you it was sharp because every time I pricked myself with it, it really smarted. So this is the needle that I use. Now, in order to use this type of thread, because it's thicker, I could not knot it and tug that knot in between the layers like you do with traditional hand quilting, because this was thicker thread, it wouldn't pop through. So what I had to do was I had to pull the thread into a seam, start in the middle of a row, and then as soon as I would take the first stitch, I would go back over the first stitch again to make sure it was anchored there, and then I would continue on. And that worked. That worked very well. I also used a traditional thimble. And the one thing that I can say about thimbles is it's a comfort thing. And there are many, many different types of thimbles on the market. Now, when I started quilting, you could get traditional thimbles like this. You could get leather thimbles. You could get thimbles that have the open at the top so your nail can come through. Now they have little pads that you can use on your fingers and so on and so forth. There are many, many options. Now I'm comfortable using a regular metal thimble, and this one has a ridge right here, and the depressions are a little bit bigger so that that needle tucks in there. And then it also has side ridges, so that if I'm at an angle where I'm using the side of my thimble to rock, this will anchor my needle nicely. So this one actually works very well for me. And I don't know the brand, to be very honest with you. I've had it, it has markings inside, but I'll be darned if I can read that. Nope, there's no way I'm gonna read that. But I would say the only way to find out is to buy them and try them. And some I've tried and I love, and some I've tried and they're in the drawer. Or I've given them to my daughters to try. So thimbles, it's like trying on shoes. You know, you got to find the one that works well for you. Now, the other thing that I want to point out is traditionally the thimble is used in the middle finger to do that rocking stitch. Nobody says you have to use it on the middle finger. Some stitchers, quilters, use it on their index finger. And I will tell you this, the index finger next to the thumb is the most strongest finger next to your thumb. So some people use their index finger. When I'm doing regular sewing, when I'm sewing the back side of a binding down, I use these 3 fingers to pull the needle through like this. But then I use the thimble on this finger, my ring finger, to push it through. So I'll keep the thimble on my ring finger like that. I'll push the needle through like this, but then I pull, oh, I did it wrong again, but then I pull with these fingers, okay? So you end up developing your own technique of how to use your thimble, okay? And there are many ways to use a thimble. Some cultures use a leather thimble on the palm of their hand, but their needles are much longer. So traditionally we use the English method where we use the thimble on our middle finger, but I think it depends on what kind of stitching you do. So like I said, when I'm doing the binding, I put the thimble on my ring finger so I can pull that needle through with these first 3 fingers here, my thumb, my pointer finger, and my middle finger, to pull that needle through. And then I use this on my ring finger to push it. So just a couple little tips there. So once I got the a needle in, okay, I just started stitching across, and I stitched one large X across the middle, okay. Then I just crossed my small sections here in the 4 corners to finish my 9 patches, and then all I had to do then was echo quilt the inside of my snowball block here. Okay, so it worked out really well doing the big stitch quilting, and I worked on this in my car, which poses some challenges, and I'll show you here. So my thimble fell off my finger and fell in between the seat and the console, which took me a while to get my hand in there to get it out. And that's what you see here, me struggling to get my thimble out of the console and the side of my seat. I eventually found it and began stitching again. The one thing that I do like about stitching in my car in the middle of the day on my lunch break is the sunshine. When there's a clear sky and the sun is shining, I have that wonderful natural light to stitch. The one thing, though, that is difficult when I am filming in the car is getting my phone in the right angle so that you can watch me stitch. That's the only thing that I do have an issue with. But I do enjoy stitching in my car, so I wanted to share that with you. And I really enjoy stitching in my car in the afternoon during my lunch break. Number one, it gets me out of the office because I do sit in a cubicle all day. So it does give me the opportunity to sit in the car and get some sunshine. And B, believe it or not, in that half-hour break, I can get a good solid 20 minutes of stitching in. And that really, those 20 minutes, a couple times a week, really, help me move along with my hand stitching. So today, I was at a craft show all day with my daughter, and I ended up finishing 2 of these. I had 2 done. I finished the other 2 of these. I finished 2 more of the 9 patch blocks, and I was able to literally get all the green done in the yellow border all the way around. All the way around. And then I did green on green in the outer border all the way around. Now I have to press this. It's all sort of bumpy right now. But I did all of that today at the craft show. And then when I did my binding, I did a self-binding where I just turned the front to the back. And I just used this thread again because that's what I had available, because that's what I brought with me. I did not think I was going to finish this quilt today at the craft show, but during the downtime of the craft show, that's what I did. I stitched. And so I just used the thread that I had. And because this is going to be at home, I'm not going to sell it or anything, or, give it as a gift. I'm okay with the way it turned out because we're not going to see the bottom. So all I have to do is give it a nice little press. And then this weekend, when I clean my kitchen, I'll be able to put it on my table. So it actually took me about a week and a half to finish the hand stitching on this. And I have to say, on a small project, when you're doing big stitch quilting like this, it really takes no time at all. It really doesn't take any time at all. And it's just so relaxing. So I really have to say that when I was younger in my quilting, because I didn't start quilting till, you know, the 1999, 2000, I really loved hand quilting. I thought it was beautiful, but it just didn't, that bug never bit me. I would rather just sew it on the machine. And that's what I enjoy doing. So that's what I did. But now that I'm older, I'm really, really enjoying the hand stitching process. And I'm really enjoying the big stitch quilting. And it's so much fun. And because I think the colors are beautiful. I did use some embroidery thread on this. This green here. Just regular embroidery thread that you can get, you know, online or at most stores. The only thing I did not like about the embroidery thread was after so many pulls and so many stitches, those little tiny little 3 strands would split. I don't like that. So that's the only drawback that I don't like about the embroidery floss. This, however, really, no matter how many times I pulled this through the quilt, the twist stayed nice and tight. And I have so many of these. I find these at the thrift stores so often in so many different colors. And I'm really, really pleased with it. And this is the crochet cotton that's used to make doilies and, you know, the crochet tablecloths and so on and so forth. My camera's moving, I'm sorry. So I'm really, really becoming an advocate of the hand stitching and especially the big stitch quilting. I'm thoroughly, thoroughly enjoying it. And like I said, I worked on this in my car during the week. I also worked on it at the craft show during our downtime. And because it's a small piece, it's manageable for taking it out and working on it whenever you have a spare few moments. So that was a big advantage. Because of it being such a small project, I could sit and just do this in my leisure on my lap. And because it's big stitch quilting, I can do it without a hoop. So that's one less thing I needed to carry with me in order to work on this project. I also would grab a few moments here and there at night and work on it in bed, before bed, after I did my reading. And that also gave me an opportunity to work on it, even if I just did, you know, one short little row. Because it's a smaller project, it's easy to grab moments here and there and pick it up and start working on it. I'll definitely be doing more smaller quilts with the hand stitching, and I may attempt a big quilt, you know, with the hand stitching. I'm really, really enjoying it. I mean, I surprised myself. I really did. Because when I was younger in my quilting, I had no interest in hand quilting. I tried, but it just that bug didn't bite me, you know. But I find that now that I'm older, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's so relaxing. And the colors are so fun. My camera's moving again. I'm so sorry. So, like I said, this one won't be my last one. Hopefully it will be the first of many. So I definitely wanted to show that to you. And it has flub ups, believe me. It has a lot of little flub ups. And that's normally in hand quilting, and the research that I've done, a lot of hand quilters prefer that you baste the 3 layers together with thread, needle and thread, because if you use the safety pins as you're stitching, you can end up getting that thread tangled on one of the safety pins. Because this was a small project, I just used a few safety pins here and there, and as a result, it didn't lay as flat as I would have liked. It's a little bumpy in some spots, and I'm okay with that because, you know, it is just a little table mat that I made, but I learned my lesson. Definitely in the future, I will lay the 3 layers out nice and smooth, very flat, and I believe that I will be doing the hand basting to keep that nice and smooth. And that way I don't run the risk of, you know, thread getting caught on a safety pin, which that did happen to me a couple of times as I was working on it. And to make sure that everything stays in place with no shifting and no bumps in some place and bubbles in another. So that was a lesson learned, you know. But I think with anything that you try new in your endeavor with sewing or crafting, when you decide to venture into a new area that you want to challenge yourself with, or try to explore more, you learn through trial and error. But I have to say, I really surprised myself. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So to all those hand quilters out there who've been hand quilting, I get it now. I get what the appeal to it. And this won't be my last one. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please tell me about your experience with hand quilting, whether you do fine hand quilting or big stitch quilting, utilitarian quilting. I would love to hear from you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great weekend. My name's Angela Davis, and I'm the 4M Quilter. And remember, why sleep when you can sew?